How y'all doing? My name is James Hawkins. I live in Los Angeles, California. The events that we're going to discuss tonight are events that happened to me as we were pursuing to get me a cure for hepatitis C. As you are probably familiar with, there's a lot of advertising that's going on television, espousing the benefits of Harvoni and Ribavaran, or Sovaldi and Ribavaran, and I was given Sovaldi and Ribavaran. At any rate, back in January of 2015, this year, I was taken to Dr. David Krieger at UCLA, a gastroenterologist. He had 4 other associates that worked with him. At any rate, we met with David Krieger, and he scheduled a blood test to make sure that I had hepatitis C before he obviously prescribed the medication. And then we went back to him first week of February, and I was issued Sovaldi and Ribavaran, a cocktail, 2 antivirals that are used in the fight against melanoma and HIV, and now experimentally used to combat hepatitis C. The entire office, staff included, and Dr. Krieger himself, spoke of just nothing but roses with these 2 drugs. They are antivirals, they are deadly poisons, and they can cause complications with everybody and anybody who takes these drugs, but particularly so with people that have post-traumatic stress disorder or even light depression. Matter of fact, Gilead, the manufacturer of this drug, has issued a stern warning to doctors that if they are going to be prescribing these medications to an individual patient that has any history of depression, before the first pill is taken, they are to first contact the psychiatrist and see the psychiatrist. Both doctors will coordinate, and both doctors will monitor very closely, at least for the first 4 or 5 weeks, the impact that these drugs have on a PTSD patient or a light depressed patient. Dr. Krieger went ahead and prescribed the medication and told me to come back and see him in 5 weeks. There was no mention of a psychiatrist. There was no mention of any bad side effects. Matter of fact, the entire office, staff included, spoke nothing but glowingly of these drugs, saying and touting how much better they were than the old interferon Ribavaran treatment. 5 weeks later, I went back to Dr. Krieger and explained to him that I was having a very difficult time taking the medication. He said, hang in there, the benefits far outweigh the negatives of keeping the hepatitis C virus, and that this drug, this combination of drugs, Sovaldi and Ribavaran, I stood a very good chance of getting cured. And so I went for it. And at the 5-week period, I told him I was having a very difficult time. The difficult time that I was having was high anxiety, very irritable, short-tempered, a fuse of a temper, and basically in a complete brain fog, a stupor, so to speak, where I couldn't even focus on anything. It just took so much concentration to do anything that I decided that I could not drive the car, and I quit driving. And so I was very dependent upon a very good friend of mine to give me a ride to and from this doctor's office. This friend was somebody that professed that they were very close to me and that they loved me very much. And matter of fact, they had paid $20,000 out of their pocket just in the year prior to that, getting ready for these drugs, for me to take these drugs. They had purchased Blue Shield insurance. They had paid all the co-pays after we got the first prescription, and just a lot of money went out of pocket. They also paid for some dental work that I needed, $5,000 worth of dental work, and a hernia operation that was another $5,000, $2,500 for a car repair. They did this because they loved me, and I loved them back. They were my only family in the whole world. At any rate, 10 weeks into this program, because after the 5-week period, Dr. Krieger again gave me 5 weeks out. He'd see me in 5 weeks. Well, I went back in 5 weeks, and I was could not believe how difficult it was. It was all I could do to continue taking the medication. Matter of fact, I had stopped taking it for a couple days at a time just to let my brain have a breathing period. It was so strenuous. What he had done is he had double dosed me on the Ribavaran because I have strain 3 or genome type 3 hepatitis C virus. And plus I had already had 2 treatments. So he had told me that my duration would be 6 to 9 months and that I would be double dosing the Ribavaran. That would be the only way that he could really facilitate a cure for me. Well, about the 13th week, I went back again to him. I called, scheduled an appointment, went to see him. He had retired without telling anybody. There were other patients in his office, and I just couldn't believe that my doctor would abandon me midway through this terrible regimen of drugs. It causes personality changes, and known to the manufacturer Gilead, so known to them that they put a warning out that told the doctors, do not give these drugs to patients who suffer depression or PTSD. And if you are going to prescribe them, make sure that you engage a psychiatrist. Both doctors are to coordinate and monitor very closely the patient, and the psychiatrist is there to give drugs that are going to be needed to combat whatever the drugs Sovaldi and Ribavaran do as a result of the PTSD. They make you go nuts, bottom line. Well, one day I had an altercation with my girlfriend, and she thought that, and I had written her a whole bunch of emails because she was distancing herself from me because of my personality changes. And she was distancing herself from me because she was scared of me. And that's what the drugs did to me. But the next thing you know, I had a restraining order filed against me, and I lost access to the medication because it was all at her house. And so she broke my regimen, and I was not able to complete the regimen, and instead the virus has come back full strength. But on the 12th week, like I said, I went to see Dr. Krieger, who was no longer working. He had retired. Patients were lining up, asking where was their doctor, and I saw a doctor walk by, and I said, "You, what's your name?" And he said, "Dr. Kwan." He became my doctor very reluctantly. Dr. Krieger was also supposed to fill out Social Security disability paperwork for me. He did not do that. He dropped the ball so many places, it's not even funny. At any rate, Dr. Kwan was very reluctant to do the paperwork. So reluctant was he that he sent me down to the office because he said he didn't feel comfortable filling out the disability paperwork. All doctors are required by law, even on your first visit, to fill out paperwork for Social Security disability. There is no such thing as I haven't seen you enough. So he sent me to a general practitioner, Rila Malkiri, wonderful doctor. My first time to see her, and I asked her if she could fill out my disability paperwork because that's why he had sent me to her. She agreed to do it, but was questioning why Dr. Kwan wasn't doing it. At any rate, she agreed to do it, and about 2 weeks later, I found out that Dr. Kwan was going to be doing it because she had brought it up to his attention that it was really bullshit that he decided not to do it and had stuck it on her. So he was going to fill out my paperwork for me, and he barely did in time for I missed one emergency hearing because he lost the paperwork 4 different times. The 5th time that I delivered the paperwork to him, he finally filled it out, and on the paperwork it said I could work 10 minutes out of an 8-hour day. Meanwhile, when I started seeing Dr. Krieger, I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and I have been reduced to mush mind. I am highly educated, and I am quite an articulated person, and I used to be on a debate team. So my speaking skills are very strong. Another thing that Dr. Krieger failed to mention, and Dr. Kwan failed to mention, was that these drugs will impact your vision, and they will impact it badly. They will also impact your hearing. So right now I'm like at about 3/4 of my normal hearing, and I'm about at 3/4 of what my eyesight used to be. It went from 1.25 to 2.0. I am still in a brain fog. I still have a difficult time driving. I've been in 3 automobile accidents in the last 8 months. Minor ones, thank God. But the worst thing of all, the worst tragedy of all, I lost someone that was very close to me. Someone that had helped me build a business and just worked so hard together, and we really achieved a lot of goals. Well, I haven't seen this person since a restraining order was filed 5 months ago. 10 years of a relationship with this beautiful family, and because of these drugs and because of their ignorance and naivety and uneducatedness, they decided to go along with a recommendation by an attorney and file a restraining order. And I've got a 5-year restraining order hanging over my head. All of this because of Dr. Krieger, Dr. David Krieger at UCLA, a scoundrel, a man who just completely disregarded my life, my being, and his Hippocratic oath. He is not supposed to cause damage to a patient. He ruined my life. So if you are about to take Sovaldi or Ribavaran or even Harvoni, think again. If you have any kind of depression, make sure you bring this up to your doctor, that you need to see a psychiatrist first before you take the first pill. That is the manufacturer's warnings. Do not take these drugs thinking that it's going to be a cakewalk or a walk, a picnic. It's not. It's going to be the most difficult regimen of drugs you've ever taken. These drugs, Sovaldi and Ribavaran, are used to kill melanoma cancers, the worst in the world. They're also used to kill HIV, and now they're used to kill hepatitis C. Well, Dr. Kwan, at the 12th week period when Krieger was not there, said, "Mr. Hawkins, what are you complaining about? You're cured. Look, it says you're cured." Well, the cure is 6 months after you've taken the last pill and you're still showing up negative, then they can say cured. I told this to Dr. Kwan. I said, "Aren't you calling me cured a little prematurely?" And he goes, "Oh, come on, you're just being ridiculous, da 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 da." Well, 5 months later, I went down and had my own blood test taken, and I tested positive for the virus. And immediately following those results being handed to me, he called me up on the phone, almost in tears, telling me how sorry he was for the whole thing. He had tried to call my friend, but she would not return the phone call. He logged 50 phone calls trying to get her attention, to tell her that it was medication, not me. It was just the medication causing me to go crazy. So beware, buyer beware. The pills were $1,000 a piece. Remember, $1,000 a piece. But these drugs are, like I said, antivirals. They're also polynucleotides. Dr. Kwan didn't even know it was a nucleotide. He thought they had banned nucleotides because of what they did to people psychologically. And when I told him that Gilead had just changed a few chemical bonds between the elements and called it a new drug, he was blown out of the water. He knew nothing about it, but when in his research he found out that I was telling him the truth, that interferon is pegylated interferon, and pegylated interferon is Sovaldi, and Sovaldi is Harvoni. It's all the same drug, except with a couple chemical bonds changed between the elements. My name is Jimmy Hawkins. I'm the president of the National Association of Powered Skateboard Racing, a brand new sport that I had created 9 months ago and invested $1 million in, and I'm just ready to launch this thing, and I have been reduced to a 10th grade level with my mind going blank periodically, just at the worst times goes completely blank, and I just can't do a thing. I can't concentrate, nothing. So these doctors have ruined my life. Be very careful if you're out for a hepatitis C cure. Thank you.